I'm just going to run through a few different setups in this tutorial. I've mocked up a few different examples that I've posted on my Instagram, and I'm just going to run through and show you how I've created them. I'll also show you my way of wrangling some of the colors and just a slightly different approach. This first tutorial is going to be about these concentric circles. It's going to be pretty basic and I haven't got any fancy maths behind it, I'm just eyeballing the whole thing. So first up, there's no ring here by default, so just hit Alt, click on one of those and then just come down to ring. So we've got the option for outer and inner, and we can just click on this and drag it into here and then right click, add expression, -30. That way we can just scale it and everything's all good. That thickness will stay the same. I'm going to right click now and add an oscillator to this, and I'll change the minimum to 0 and the maximum to about 1200. I'm also going to change the stagger to 0, frequency to 1 and time scale to 0.1. If I just hit play now, you can just see my circle is growing and shrinking. And you can see this represented here. What I want to change is the wave style and change it to sawtooth. So that way it'll grow, crash, grow, crash. And starts again. Now with our circle selected, I am going to add a duplicator, change the grid to point, and change the count to about 20, maybe 30. So it's actually set up now pretty much. I just have to change the stagger. So I've just got to click on that and drag it out and line it up with just by eyeballing it. Nothing fancy here. And that's pretty much the first one done. Didn't take too long. I've got a pretty minimal setup, and away we go. Before I jump on to the next one, I'll show you another way that you can wrangle the color. And this is by using the color blend. So by default, it's just a gradient, but we can just click on the gradient and then go set gradient from palette. And then on our strength, we can come in here and we can change this to random. And by default it's 0 to 10, so we'll change it up to 100. And this gives us a whole lot more colors and variations and different ways that we can play with it. You can also kind of really refine how some of these colors are, what the dominant colors are down here as well. Be sure to check out the color blend, and you might want to use that instead of a color array from time to time. Next up, I'm just going to show you the basics of this. This is one for pro users using the rect pattern tool. I'm just going to rotate that. I'm going to change my gap type to none. Change my count to 10. Once this is all set up, we can just right click on the bar size, come in here and choose oscillator again. We'll change this to maybe 50 and 250. So what worked for me here was stagger 5, frequency 0.5. Okay, now what we're going to do here is click on deformers, submesh, and we can just move this around on X and Y. But since we rotated it, we're going to have to change the Y. And here we're going to put a stagger on the Y. And I think we've got 10 of them, so we're just going to go from 0 to 900. And then we have our shape. So for these lines here, I kind of cheated again. So I'm just going to change these to 1920. We'll see how we go. Change the width to 1. And put these into a duplicator and change this to shape edges. And pop our rectangle pattern in there. Okay. It's looking alright, but there's a bit of duplication, so for every edge there's going to be 2 lines, so we're going to strip those back a little bit. For this one we're going to jump into our shape visibility again and use a value array. I just prefer using value arrays. You could also use there's other ways to do it, but I'm just going to use this. So now I've gone visible, visible, not. Yeah, and that's basically removing half those lines for me, which is great. Another option here is just to right click and go add background to selected, and then use that as a mask on our lines. And I'm just going to turn that off, and I'll add a stroke there. And again, if we want, we can just bring this to the top. Yeah, probably a lot easier than some of you are thinking. Okay, so next up, we're going to alt-click square and then alt-click circle, and then drag the rectangle shape onto our ellipse shape and click clipping mask. And I'm just going to quickly jump in and change the color of our circle. So now when I scale it, it's going to be cut off. I'm also going to come in here now and choose oscillator. Change this to 15 to 200. Change this down to 1. Cool. Now I'm just going to group these and pop them into a duplicator. So with our duplicator, I'm going to change the grid to, change the size mode to step. And I'll just change this to 9 by 9 just to get started. Then we've got the grid option here. We're just going to change this down to sort and change it from horizontal to distance from centroid. And things aren't looking quite right still. So I'm just going to jump in, put our stagger down to 0, hit play, and you can see that they're growing and shrinking. And if I just change my stagger now, I just get a better visual of how this is all going to come together. Pretty happy with that. But I'm just going to come into my duplicator and I'm going to change this size here to under that 200. So be sure to check that your count is an odd number, otherwise it might not line up as you want. So let's just have a quick squiz here. If we colorize this as well, you can just see better options that are surfacing. And jump back into our duplicator and then hit this reverse option. And yeah, have a bit of fun with playing around with those different settings as well. And you can come up with some pretty cool effects. Play around with, there's so many different aspects that you can work with on this one. It's a cool little effect, pretty basic to set up. But yeah, I think the key elements for this one is just to start off low with that stagger and just build that up. And be sure to hit reverse on your duplicator and use that sort from centroid. Cool. So hopefully you picked up a few tricks along the way for that one. Feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what you want to see next time. And we'll see how we go. Cool. Thanks for watching.